I'd been a stepmother to GC's daughter for 3 years, and he coldly told me that all I get is money, no status. Recently, he joined a reality show about dads raising kids, where the other 2 fathers are an art film actor and a top singer. By the 8th episode, the show required the children's mothers to visit. GCI transferred me $1 million as a deposit, asking me to go. Just putting on a show doesn't mean I acknowledge your identity, understand? I obediently accepted the money. Understood, but when we arrived at the recording site, the 3 children ended up fighting over who I was really the mother of. Behind them, GCI, the film emperor, and the singer all stood there dumbfounded. I smiled. That's right, I'm the stepmother of all 3 children. My dad won't like you. Ji Yunha's hand slammed heavily on the piano. She is 8 years old this year, looking like a beautiful doll, dressed in a fluffy tulle princess dress, yet when those big eyes look at me, they are filled with disgust and indifference. Dream on if you think you can marry my dad. I calmly turn the pages of the sheet music. You missed 2 notes in the 4th measure just now. Play it again. She didn't touch the piano, just kept glaring at me. I sighed. Yunha, I don't want to marry your father. My job is to tutor you. I don't care about anything to do with your father. All I care about is whether you can pass next month's piano exam. Ji Yunha didn't believe it at all. Don't lie to me. Every woman who comes to my house as a tutor or a nanny actually wants to climb the social ladder. GCI probably thinks the same way, doesn't he? He always believes I'm deeply infatuated with him. After all, he's a billionaire CEO, young and handsome, with hordes of women throwing themselves at him. He himself is cold and aloof, keeping people at arm's length, so women use his daughter as an entry point, trying to get close to him through Ji Yunha. No wonder no matter how much I explained, Ji Yunha refused to believe me. But it doesn't matter, I just need to do my job well and get my pay. I supervised Ji Yunha as she practiced the piano 3 more times. Where she struggled, I demonstrated myself. After an hour, she finally reached a level I was satisfied with. It was getting late, so I warmed up some milk for Ji Yunha and paired it with the pastries I had baked myself. Ji Yunha ate every last bit of the pastries, then immediately put on a stern little face again. All your efforts will be paid for by my dad. That would be best. I picked up the storybook. Which one shall we read for tonight's bedtime story? After settling Ji Yunha into bed, I went to the living room to tidy up. The door suddenly opened. GCI was back. He must have just come from a business banquet, carrying a faint scent of alcohol. As soon as he entered, he threw himself onto the sofa. The housekeeper had left early today due to a family matter. Before leaving, she had prepared a hangover soup, saying that if Mr. G returned late, I should help heat it up. So I went to the kitchen to heat up the hangover soup and brought it out for GCI. GC's tie was tied too tightly. I reached out to help him loosen it, but he suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward him. I fell onto the sofa, and GCI leaned over me, looking down with eyes as deep and cold as the night. Do you think this is enough to move me? Aunt Lou asked me to help her heat it up. I tried to explain, but GCI cut me off. Don't use others as an excuse. He sniffed and gave a cold, mocking smile. Even sprayed perfume, he said, trying to get my attention. He gave a cold, mocking smile, picked up his phone, and moments later, the sound of a successful transfer notification chimed from my phone. Let me make this clear, Shin Binang, between us, it's only about money. If you didn't look even a little like Shinya, do you think I would have ever let you step foot in this house? I was suddenly enraged. I pushed GCI away with force, grabbed my bag, and rushed out of the G family's gate. Behind me came GC's low chuckle. Still jealous? You're not even worthy of being jealous of Shinya. I rushed into the night, taking several deep breaths to barely suppress the anger within me. This is too much. GCI only agreed to let me come to his house because I look like his white moonlight ex-wife, not because of my professional abilities. This is a great insult to my professionalism. You should know, I graduated from the Elite Orchid Academy. Britain has long had specialized schools for training butlers for the aristocracy, and the Elite Orchid Academy can be seen as an advanced version of such institutions. It trains mistresses of the house, or rather, professional mistresses of the house. The founders of the academy discovered early on that men from wealthy families, young CEOs, and top celebrities were prone to either rushing into marriage and divorce or leading chaotic private lives in their youth, often leaving behind children without mothers. Although these children are born into privilege, they are easily led astray. Therefore, they need someone to educate and accompany them, a role that maids and tutors often cannot fulfill. Thus, the profession of the professional hostess was born. Currently, this industry remains quite niche, and I am an outstanding graduate of its inaugural class. The reason for choosing GCI was quite simple. He was divorced and single, with his parents not around, and his child had no one to look after them. Moreover, he was very wealthy and could afford the expensive labor costs in our industry. I interviewed at the G family's home several times, each time earnestly explaining my abilities and the nature of my work, and in the end, GCI agreed. I thought he was impressed by my abilities, but it turns out he didn't believe me at all. He still sees me as a woman trying to climb the ladder. It's okay, I comforted myself, as long as the work matches the pay, let him misunderstand. I checked the transfer and felt quite satisfied. At the same time, I also noticed that GCI had sent me a WeChat message. I'll be at home all day tomorrow. I put away my phone, feeling puzzled. What does that have to do with me? Whether you're at home or not is none of my business anyway. I have to go to another client's house tomorrow. The other client is Guzet, a renowned film emperor known as the god of art films. He himself has a mysterious and deep personality, with a pair of melancholic eyes that always seem to be veiled in mist. His son, Gu Xiaofeng, is the complete opposite, hyperactive but exceptionally talented in math. With proper guidance, he could probably win medals in international Olympiads. Every time I supervise this child studying Olympiad math, I end up sweating all over. After lunch, I took Gu Xiaofeng to his private Olympiad math tutoring session. The tutor complained to me as soon as he saw me, saying that last time Gu Xiaofeng had hit his own head with a ruler. I compensated the tutor for the medical expenses and apologized repeatedly, asking him to put aside past grievances and tutor the child well. After finishing all that and returning to the Gu residence, the award-winning actor Gu had just woken up. He always slept until the afternoon before getting up. At the moment, he was leaning on the sofa in a linen loungewear that exuded an artistic vibe, with a French New Wave film playing on the large projection screen. Seeing me return, he lazily lifted his eyelids. "You're back." I picked up the bill and walked over to him. "Mr. Gu, you need to settle the expenses, including the medical compensation for the private math tutor." Guzet raised his eyes to look at me, his melancholic gaze revealing a shocked expression. He asked in a low voice, "Are you angry with me?" Holding the bill, I was completely baffled. He stood up, scratching his hair in frustration. "Other fans I don't even give autographs to, and I let you into my home. What more do you want? Did my statement the day before yesterday about not marrying again upset you? Why are you suddenly bringing up something as vulgar as money?" I said expressionlessly. "Mr. Gu, if you refuse to transfer the money, I won't be coming back." Holding the check Guzet had given me, I walked out the door and let out a long sigh. Next time, I need to keep my eyes open when screening new clients. I can't choose someone like Guzet who doesn't like to talk about money next time. But for the work I've already taken on, I'll see it through to the end while planning to take Gu Xiaofeng to a specialist for ADHD next week. I rushed to the next client's home. Qing Yuqiao, a top-tier singer, used to play rock music in his early years and now focuses on pop. With a face of unparalleled handsomeness, this guy's popularity has been terrifyingly high for over a decade. Every time he holds a concert, ambulances are parked outside, ready to promptly take away fans who faint from screaming and lack of oxygen. I passed through layers of security checkpoints to reach Qing Yuqiao's home, ready to tutor his daughter, Chunkiki. As it turned out, Chunkiki wasn't home. She might have gone to a classmate's house, or her grandmother might have picked her up. The vast mansion was occupied by Qing Yuqiao alone, with the living room littered with empty bottles, clearly the aftermath of an all-night party. With such an unreliable father, Chunkiki was truly a cause for concern. I picked up my phone and sent a round of WeChat messages to locate her, finally confirming she was at a classmate's house. Just as I was about to leave, Qing Yuqiao called out to me, half lying on the bed. He patted the spot beside him, a mischievous grin on his face. "Hey, come here." I immediately took a polite, tactical step back. "TCH, who are you trying to fool?" Qing Yuqiao scoffed lightly. "I saw you looping my song the other day." To be fair, Qing Yuqiao's new album is actually pretty good, but not every female fan wants to climb into bed with him, and if you're trying to seduce someone, at least dress better. That skirt of yours goes all the way down to your ankles. How boring. He picked up his phone and transferred some money to me. "Go buy something spicy enough. 100,000 yuan. I clicked to accept it. His daughter improved her grade ranking by over 100 places under my tutoring. This is the bonus I deserve. Just as I was about to leave, Qing Yuqiao called out to me, "Number 28. Come find me at the film studio." I frowned. "What do you mean, we're filming a variety show?" And those damn directors suddenly said they wanted the child's mother to visit the set. Don't get the wrong idea. It's not that I like you the most, I just think you're somewhat decent. If you appear as the child's mother, probably fewer people would criticize me. I calmly replied, I have a job. Qing Yuqiao sneered dismissively, bullshit job, really, there might be other clients who need me. How much are they paying you? Qing Yuqiao pointed at himself, I'll double it. Once in the car, I received a WeChat message from actor Gu. It was very brief, just an address and a date. The address is the film and television base, the date is the 28th. I'm not surprised, I've known for a long time that they were recording the same variety show. Sure enough, before I could reply to Gu's WeChat message, GC's call came through as an IC CEO. His voice was unusually tinged with anger. Didn't I tell you? I'm at home today, you didn't even come to keep me company. He paused, his voice softening. Did something happen to you, or are you sick? No, none at all. I simply have no obligation to engage with you. I had just uttered the word no when GCI cut me off without a shred of doubt. Good, as long as you're not sick. On the 28th, the variety show I'm participating in has a mother's visit segment. Come and put on a show. Don't misunderstand. This doesn't mean I'm giving you any status. I quickly interrupted him. Mr. G, I don't want status, I just want money. GCI was taken aback for a moment, then replied coldly, name your price. The call was disconnected. I sent a WeChat message to Guze, and the movie star who treated money like dirt replied to me immediately. He still didn't say a word, just sent me a photo of a blank check. It means I can fill in the amount myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Alma mater. I've made it. Early on the 28th. I arrived at the recording venue in a long dress, looking elegant and dignified. Ji Yunha saw me first, and she gave a cold smile. As expected, you just want to be my stepmother. Before she could finish her sentence, a lively little boy with a round, tiger-like head darted out from the side and rushed right up to me. What took you so long? Gu Xiaofeng complained. I'm hungry. I want to eat the honey-glazed chicken legs you make. Meanwhile, Chun Kiki, who had just appeared on the other side, suddenly stopped in her tracks and looked at me in disbelief. Teacher Shen, why did you make honey-glazed chicken legs for him? Ji Yunha was stunned. She had always believed this dish was something I specially created to please her. I patted her head. Who I become a stepmother to today depends on your fathers. After saying that, I turned my head to look at the three men who had rushed over. GCI, Guze, Qing Yuqiao. Each one is the dream of 900 million young women. So three of them make 2,700 million. I smiled at this dream of 7 billion. It all depends on which of your daddies offers a higher bid. GCI pulled me into an empty room without any cameras. Actually, it wasn't completely without cameras. There was a fixed camera set up in the corner, one of the live broadcast positions, but GCI, facing the camera, said, I'll compensate tenfold, and poured the entire cup of hot Americano over it. After a faint sizzling sound, the camera was ruined. Having flexed his financial power, GCI turned to me, expressionless. Did you see the introduction script I wrote for you? I was utterly bewildered. GCI pulled a notepad from his suit pocket, on which he had originally planned to introduce me to the audience. The gist was that I was merely someone hired to take care of Ji Yunha, and GCI himself had no relationship with me whatsoever. Wasn't that a perfectly fine introduction? Yet GC's dark, heavy eyes were fixed on me, scrutinizing the expression on my face. Are you angry, aren't you? I was puzzled. Using his calm, CEO-like tone, GCI reasoned logically. You saw this introduction in advance, didn't you? You're upset that I cut off your hopes directly in front of millions of viewers, so you're using the other two men to threaten me, right? He took a deep breath. Fine, I can tell everyone you're my date. I was stunned by GC's train of thought and couldn't speak for a moment. Seeing my silence, GCI thought I was dissatisfied. He frowned and said impatiently, this is the limit of my compromise. Do you really expect me to publicly announce you as my official girlfriend? A decision of this magnitude must be discussed with the board of directors. It could affect the company's stock price. I steadied my breath and said to GCI seriously, Mr. G, I have only one request. GC's brow furrowed slightly, his face clearly conveying, woman, don't push your luck. Me, please. You must introduce me exactly as it was in the first draft. GCI was puzzled. He seemed to need time to process everything, so I left him in the empty room and turned back to the recording site. I have 3 children to take care of, so I'm quite busy, but as soon as I returned, I found the recording site had been trashed. At first, I thought it was the kids causing trouble, But it turned out that apart from a chair knocked over by the hyperactive Gu Xiaofeng, everything else was smashed by Qing Yuqiao. His status is too high, and the young directors huddled in the distance, too afraid to stop him. Qing Yuqiao kicked over a table, suddenly noticed I had arrived, and immediately rushed over, cornering me against the wall. Shen Baining, Qing Yuqiao gritted his teeth, you dare betray me. Qing Yuqiao didn't have GC's caution. At this moment, the live broadcast camera was pointed right at us, and he couldn't care less. This man had risen to fame at a young age, though his wild and unrestrained behavior had once made him the target of widespread criticism online. He was backed by countless fervent fans who shielded him. Moreover, he was truly blessed by the heavens. Possessing both top-tier looks and talent, no wonder he's so extreme. In his world, any woman who appears before him is bound to go crazy for him. I pushed Qing Yuqiao away. Mr. Qing, when we signed the contract, there was a non-exclusive agreement. That means I can have other clients besides you. Qing Yuqiao couldn't believe it. You only see me as an ordinary client. Of course not. You are definitely not an ordinary client. I looked at him and said seriously, you are my VIP client. Qing Yuqiao, what about GCI and Guze? Of course they are VIPs too. After all, a lot of money has been paid. Qing Yuqiao seemed very dissatisfied with his status as a VIP client, storming out and slamming the door behind him. As for Guze, he never showed up at all. Rumor has it he boycotted the recording. I thought the production team would stop filming, but the head director personally came to my side and signaled for everything to continue. If I'm not mistaken, he even looked excited. I glanced at my phone and checked the trending topics, and immediately understood the show had exploded. GCI, Guze, and Qing Yuqiao, any one of them announcing a relationship would be major news. But today, on this parenting show, everyone was shocked to discover that the stepmother of their 3 children was actually the same person. Fans of these 3 and all the onlookers are eager to know just who I, Shen Baining, really am. The power of netizens is truly formidable. In the blink of an eye, every detail of my life from kindergarten to the present has been laid bare. Compared to the chaebol heiresses, top-tier actresses, and international supermodels they've dated before, I seem utterly unremarkable. As for the netizens digging into my past, I feel completely at peace. All of this is within my expectations. They can do their thing, and I'll continue with my work. With all 3 men gone, I feel a sense of peace. After all, their presence wasn't of much help to my work anyway. All 3 children must be hungry. Luckily, the recording site had a kitchen stocked with plenty of ingredients. I found a whole pack of chicken drumsticks, marinated them with my carefully prepared sauce, and got ready to make the most popular honey-glazed roasted chicken legs. Children are simpler than adults. Guze had completely ignored me, but as soon as Gu Xiaofeng caught the scent of the roasting chicken, he appeared at the kitchen door. This kid has a big heart. Even if the sky were falling, it wouldn't stop him from eating. 2 meters away, I immediately spoke up as Gu Xiaofeng approached. This is our agreement, because Gu Xiaofeng tends to touch the stove carelessly and hurt himself, so he must stay 2 meters away from me when I'm cooking. That's not fair. Gu Xiaofeng points to the little girl beside me. Why can she stay close to you? That's Qingkiki. She doesn't talk much. A pale and thin little girl, quietly squatting beside me now, helping me pick vegetables. Gu Xiaofeng, like a little monkey, sidles up to Qingkiki. So that means we have the same stepmother. Qingkiki whispered, not stepmother, it's teacher Shen. Same difference. Gu Xiaofeng waved his hand dismissively. Then you must be my little sister. Gu Xiaofeng, I scolded, just talk, don't play with her hair. Gu Xiaofeng quickly withdrew his hand from Qingkiki's hair. I turned around and saw numerous bullet comments scrolling across the live stream screen. Damn, isn't Gu Xiaofeng supposed to be a little troublemaker? Why is he so obedient? This Shen Baining seems to have something up her sleeve. Does she know how to cast spells or something? How else could she have tamed Gu Xiaofeng, and still manage to juggle GCI, Guze, and Qing Yuqiao all at once? I finished cooking, and Qingkiki and Gu Xiaofeng ate with great appetite, but Ji Yunhe never showed up. Children are different from one another. Gu Xiaofeng sometimes calls me auntie and other times big sister. Qingkiki always calls me teacher Shen, while Ji Yunhe has never addressed me as anything other than hey. She was much more mature than the other 2 children and far more wary of me. I packed some food into a box and went to knock on Ji Yunhe's door. On the way, I passed by the rooms of the children's fathers. They probably hadn't eaten either, but I didn't bother. Our professional code was to serve the children first, and if the male hosts encountered difficulties, we should offer some assistance. given that they were the children's fathers. In this situation, they probably don't need my help. I went through all kinds of trouble and finally got Ji Yunha to open the door for me. She looked at the crispy-skinned, tender, and fragrant roast chicken in my hand and gave a disdainful smile. Shinbinang, I'd rather starve to death than eat anything you cook again. 15 minutes later, only a pile of chicken bones remained in the box. That so delicious meme never goes out of style. Ji Yunha, now full and satisfied, didn't soften her temper in the slightest. She elegantly wiped her mouth, then raised an eyebrow and looked at me. On one hand, you're trying to move us, and on the other, you brought in Gu Xiaofeng and Qin Kik's father to make my dad jealous, right? Honestly, Gu Xiaofeng and Qin Kiki don't look much like their father, but Ji Yunha and GCI, from their personalities to their thought processes, are practically cut from the same mold. Do you think just because you look like my mother, you can replace her? Let me tell you, aside from your face, you're nothing like my mother. She is noble and elegant, and would never get herself covered in the smell of cooking oil. Plus, she wouldn't force me to practice the piano, criticize me, or bother me with long-winded lectures. After saying this, Ji Yunha looked at me with a provocative expression, hoping to see a look of irritation on my face. However, I simply smiled calmly and said, "Oh, if you fall behind at the piano teachers this weekend, the bedtime story session every night will be cancelled." Ji Yunha was furious. And one more thing, I interrupted her coldly, your carbonated drink intake is excessive. I've confiscated the cola in the fridge. Ji Yunha glared at me, seething with anger. Shinbinang, once my mom returns to the country, I'm kicking you out of my house. Ji Yunha's words proved prophetic. The next day, as I was preparing breakfast for the 3 children, the sharp click of high heels suddenly echoed from outside the door. Then, the door swung open, and an exquisitely elegant woman appeared before the camera. Her face did bear a slight resemblance to mine. Before I could react, Ji Yunha had already cried out, "Mom!" The woman rushed forward, wrapping her arms around Ji Yunha in a tight embrace, then lifted her gaze to meet mine. Her smile appeared gentle, but as I looked directly into her eyes, I could clearly see the challenge within them. "Yunha, Mom is back." This was GC's ex-wife, Fu Xingya. Fu Xingya came from a wealthy family, a perfect match for GCI, and the two seemed to genuinely like each other. But for some reason, Fu Xingya divorced GCI when Ji Yunha was just 1.5 years old, then settled abroad. Though I often heard Fu Xingya's name mentioned by GCI and Ji Yunha, the truth was, from the moment I entered the Ji family, I had never even seen Fu Xingya make a single video call back. At that moment, Fu Xingya smiled and patted Ji Yunha's head. "If I don't come back soon, I'm afraid some wild woman from who knows where will beat me to it." It couldn't have been more obvious. Those words were aimed at me. The live stream was still ongoing, with comments flooding the screen so densely that I couldn't even make out what each sentence was saying. But it wasn't hard to guess. The return of the white moonlight ex-wife, directly confronting the stand-in. This kind of battlefield drama must have ignited the audience's enthusiasm to the extreme. Everyone was expecting Fu Xingya to thoroughly humiliate me, and Fu Xingya thought the same way. She started off with a show of force right from the beginning. "Yunha, you are a precious young lady, the apple of your parents' eye, you shouldn't eat such low-class food." She directly picked up Ji Yunha's bowl and plate, dumping all the vegetable porridge, fried eggs, and steamed buns into the trash. "Yunha, let Mom cook for you personally." Fu Xingya raised her hand to signal, and the nanny following her immediately piled the expensive ingredients all over the kitchen counter. She then turned her face to me and said coldly, "We are mother and daughter meeting. What is an outsider still doing here?" My emotions remained very calm. In my professional training, there were, of course, relevant guidelines on how to handle situations involving a child's biological mother. The principle is to avoid direct conflict, to leave space for the biological mother and the child to interact, and to immediately protect the child if the biological mother exhibits any behavior that could be harmful to them. Fu Xingya was just making breakfast for Ji Yunha, so of course I should respect her. Coincidentally, Gu Xiaofeng and Qin Kiki had already finished eating, so I took them to another room. After tutoring both of them separately and finishing lunch together, I took care of the 2 children during their nap. Gu Xiaofeng quickly fell into a deep sleep, but Qin Kiki kept her eyes wide open. I leaned over and patted her. She turned to me, her eyes clear and bright. "Teacher Shen, I think." Her voice was very soft, so I brought my ear close to hers. "I don't think Ji Yunha's mother truly loves her." I was momentarily stunned. "You don't even know Ji Yunha's mother. How would you know?" I chuckled. "Alright, let's get some sleep." "Really, Chunkiki insisted stubbornly. There's a huge difference between genuine love and love that's performed. I can tell the difference. My heart skipped a beat, and an inexplicable sense of foreboding washed over me, and almost within minutes, that premonition came true. The sound of an ambulance suddenly blared downstairs, and the director frantically pushed open my door. Ms. Shin, Ji Yunha has had an accident. Could you come and take a look? Ji Yunha was rushed to the hospital by ambulance first. The car following behind carried GCI and me. GCI had left the program team in the morning to attend an important shareholders meeting. When he rushed back and was about to meet Fu Xingya and Ji Yunha, he found Ji Yunha being carried out by the staff. His face was pale, sweat dripping from his temples, and his hands kept twisting and turning restlessly. I was anxious too, but I still reminded him, Mr. G. At this moment, parents must remain calm. GCI reached out and grabbed my arm, as if clutching at a lifeline. In the past, I would have pulled my hand away, but if holding on could make GCI feel a little better right now, then so be it. By the time we reached the hospital, my arm was already bruised purple. I didn't care about the pain and rushed to the door of the emergency room. Fu Xingya was crying bitterly at the emergency room door, all the elegance of a wealthy heiress completely gone. She was sobbing with tears and snot running down her face. How could this happen? How could this happen? GCI charged forward and grabbed Fu Xingya. What did you give Yunha to eat? Fu Xingya shook her head desperately. I don't know. They were all the best ingredients. I didn't do anything wrong. Fury burned within me. I never expected that Fu Xingya, as Ji Yunha's biological mother, could know so little about her own child. If I had known earlier, I would never have let her cook for Ji Yunha. Some people becoming parents is a disaster for their children. The doctor had to raise his voice to barely suppress Fu Xingya's crying. Parents, calm down, we need the child's allergy list. GCI and Fu Xingya's faces both went blank with embarrassment. They didn't know. I rushed forward. Mango, pineapple, shrimp. I rattled off the names with practiced ease. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed GC's gaze toward me seemed to be changing. The doctor seemed to have finally encountered a reliable family member of a patient and quickly grabbed me. Did you bring the child's medical records? No, but I have a backup of the past medical history saved on my phone. After urgently briefing the doctor, he went to treat Ji Yunha. A nurse walked over and naturally said to me, Mom, please go to the third floor to pay the fees. Fu Xingya stood silently to the side and didn't correct her. GC's expression was complex. He paused for a moment, then said he would go pay the bill. Fortunately, Ji Yunha was not seriously harmed. After undergoing induced vomiting and medication, she quickly regained her health. In the hospital room, surrounded by countless cameras, Fu Xingya wept bitterly before Ji Yunha. I'm sorry. Mom didn't know. Ji Yunha weakly moved her lips. I'm hungry. Fu Xingya hurriedly stood up. What would Yunha like to eat? Mom will make it for you, Ji Yunha whispered. I want to drink the quickly turn into a pretty guardian porridge. Fu Xingya was stunned. What? The door opened, and I walked in holding a bowl of porridge. Ji Yunha's eyes lit up. I blew on the porridge to cool it down, then fed it to Ji Yunha spoonful by spoonful. The director beside the camera raised a cue card, asking me to explain what the quickly turn into a Sailor Moon porridge was. Actually, it's nothing special, I said. It's just porridge with eggs, lean meat, and some leafy greens, very nutritious overall. Every time Yunha got sick and wouldn't eat, I made this porridge and told her that drinking it would restore a lot of her energy and turn her into a Sailor Moon warrior. So you lied to me, Ji Yunha whispered. I never turned into one. She said this while snatching the bowl away, using a spoon to scrape every last bit of porridge clean. GCI had also been in the hospital room the whole time, standing silently not far away, watching everything unfold before him. The director turned the interview microphone toward him and ventured to ask, Mr. G. GCI only snapped back to reality after being called twice. Director, Mr. G. Do you have no idea what your daughter is allergic to? If it were in line with GC's usual temperament, he would have already lost his temper. But now, standing by Ji Yunha's hospital bed, he fell silent for a moment and murmured softly, I've been too busy with work. The director, with a relentless journalistic spirit, pressed on, do you think you're not a good father? This time, GCI remained silent for even longer. A rare look of confusion appeared on his face. Was I not good to her? He murmured, as if defending himself, or perhaps just talking to himself. I bought her whatever she wanted. I earned her more money than she could spend in a lifetime. Mr. G. I interrupted him. The professional code of conduct states that if a child's father has serious issues with their educational philosophy, we have an obligation to speak up and correct them. Therefore, even in front of millions of viewers, I still bravely spoke up. Merely providing material conditions is not enough. In fact, children are not that sensitive to material things. What they need more is companionship, attention, and love. This time, Ji Yunha did not feign indifference again. She buried her head in my arms, and I felt a sudden warmth in my chest. She was crying that day. This cold and prematurely mature girl shed many scalding tears on my clothes. Ji Yunha said that every year on her birthday, she actually hoped her mother would come. She hadn't really seen her mother much. From the time she could remember, her mother had been abroad. When Ji Yunha called her, she either wouldn't answer, or if she did, she'd only talk for a few minutes. She had endless parties, countless new romantic interests, and later perhaps even new children. Ji Yunha wasn't sure, but even so, Yunha still longed to have a mother. Everyone else had one, and she wanted one too. Not just any mother, but the very best one. So she idealized her mother in her imagination, turning her into the best woman in the world. As for why her mother never returned or visited her, Ji Yunha deliberately chose not to think about it. Now, Fu Xingya has finally returned. She shattered all of Ji Yunha's illusions. What Qingqi could see, Ji Yunha might not be unable to see as well. She rested her head on my arm and whispered, "She doesn't truly love me, she just wants to win against you. She wants Dad and me to wait for her forever." I sighed and patted Ji Yunha's hair. I could have comforted her by saying, "Your mom really loves you," but with a smart, precocious child like her, such a lie wouldn't work. So I treated her like an adult and shared my thoughts with her seriously. This life is long, and we will meet many people. Parents are just one of them, so it's okay if they don't love us. We shouldn't keep hurting ourselves over their lack of love. Ji Yunha turned to look at me. "You're an orphan, aren't you?" I wasn't offended, just smiled calmly. "You've looked into me." Dad looked it up. Ji Yunha hesitated for a moment, then confessed, "I just eavesdropped a bit while he was doing it." "It's true," I said. "When I was just a baby, I was left at the doorstep of an orphanage. The dean of Jinglan Academy raised me." I settled Ji Yunha into bed and was about to leave the room when she called out to me, "Hey." I turned to look at her. She asked me in a seemingly calm tone, "Is your love for us part of your profession? If we stop paying, will you stop loving us?" I thought for a moment, then asked her, "Do you know Qingqi's father, Qing Yuqiao, a very famous singer? Singing is his profession, but his feelings for music are genuine." I smiled at Ji Yunha. "Love is love, whether it's professional or not." GCI said he wanted to talk to me in the private cafe. He sat across from me, dressed in a suit and tie. The sunlight fell on him, softening his stern features and making him seem more approachable than usual. His first words were, "Fu Xingya has gone back." I sipped my caramel macchiato, unsure how to respond, and could only utter an "oh." "We were in love once, but we aren't suited to live together." GCI took a sip of his hot Americano. "We were both too proud, only caring about ourselves, unwilling to compromise even a little for the other." I had my career. She had her parties and social life. The home was always cold, neither of us willing to take care of the other. "So, Bei Ning," he looked at me, "I've thought it through. I'm willing to marry you." I nearly spat my caramel macchiato all over his suit. "No," I said in shock. "Mr. G, when did I ever make such a request?" GCI smiled. "You don't need to worry too much. I already know about your background." He leaned forward, his gaze fixed firmly on me. "I don't mind." I am speechless. This is really tough. Are you out of your mind, Boss G? You're just looking for a tool, and you make it sound so nice. The one who said this wasn't me, it was the customer sitting behind GCI. The high-backed chairs in this cafe blocked our view, and it was only when the man stood up that I could clearly see his figure. A huge pair of black sunglasses covered his face, and the man flashed me a defiant smile. "Recognize me, don't you?" "Of course," I replied calmly. Qingqi's father, Qing Yuqiao, had probably never been addressed like that in his life, his arrogant smile freezing for a brief moment, but then he turned his gaze to GCI. "Since you've looked into Shen Baining, you should know what the Jinglan Academy she graduated from is all about, right? She's just in an employment relationship with you. What she cares about is Ji Yunha, not you. You need to clear the water out of your head." GC's expression was icy. "Aren't you the same?" "How could I be the same? Shen Baining has feelings for me." Qing Yuqiao flashed a confident smile. She listens to my songs, GCI retorted sharply. She plays the games our company develops. She doesn't just listen, she puts them on repeat. She's not just playing, she's spending money on it. GCI glanced at me. A lot of money. I was speechless. They say men remain boys at heart until they die. Looking at these two, I'd say they're not even close to being boys. They're far from graduating elementary school. They were arguing so intensely that they didn't notice I was pulled away by a third man. Of course, it's Guingdi. Guzé, biting his cigarette, forcefully dragged me through the corridor of the cafe with an imposing air. It's just walking. No need to make it look like we're acting in a better tomorrow. When we reached a secluded spot, he gazed into the distance, his expression melancholic. Shenbinang, I know it, you're a woman like a footless bird. Those two ordinary men could never be your final destination. I was puzzled, quite the poetic touch, but no matter what, thank you for understanding. Guzé nodded, I can understand you. We're the same kind of people. I told the public long ago that I would never marry again. Film critics say that Gu, the movie emperor, has eyes that look deeply at everyone. At this moment, he turned his head and looked at me with those eyes. But for you, I think this footless bird of mine can make an exception. And stop. I was speechless. You're no different from those two, except you express it a bit more poetically, Mr. Gu. Is there any possibility that I just don't like you people? I reminded him. How could you possibly not like me? Guzé extinguished his cigarette and smiled. If you didn't like me, you wouldn't treat Xiaofeng so well. I was puzzled. I treat Xiaofeng well because I'm being paid by you, I said. Plus, I genuinely like this child. No one likes 7 or 8-year-old boys, especially one as rowdy as Xiaofeng. A faint trace of disdain flickered in Guzé's eyes. Children, by nature, are quite annoying. If they aren't annoying, there's only one reason: blood ties. He shook his head. You and Xiaofeng aren't related by blood, besides loving the house and its crow. I can't think of any other reason. He didn't notice that my expression had already changed. Naturally, I was well aware of Gu Xiaofeng's background. Guzé's ex-wife was madly infatuated with him and used every means possible to get pregnant, which allowed her to marry him. She died during a difficult childbirth while giving birth to Gu Xiaofeng, leaving behind the child. The public outcry was overwhelming, and Guzé couldn't possibly abandon the child, so he kept him by his side ever since. I knew Guzé didn't love Gu Xiaofeng all that much, but I never imagined there was such deep disdain behind it. The fact that Gu Xiaofeng managed to grow up this healthy, with no physical or mental issues aside from ADHD, is probably thanks to the child's naturally carefree and easygoing nature. Just as I was about to argue with Guzé, my phone suddenly rang. The caller was Chingkik's homeroom teacher. The children's father is usually swamped with work, and when it comes to crucial moments, he's nowhere to be found, so the contact number left in the children's school home communication book is usually mine. Hello, is this Chingkik's parent? As soon as I answered, the homeroom teacher's panicked voice came through from the other end. Chinkiki, she's on the rooftop terrace. I stood there, stunned. Guzé noticed my expression was off and wanted to say something to me. I shoved him away and turned to run as fast as I could. Compared to Ji Yunhe and Gu Xiaofeng, Chinkiki had always seemed very well behaved, but she was the one with the most serious issues among the children. Although GCI and Guzé paid little attention to the children, their private lives had remained relatively clean over the years, which didn't have much of a negative impact on the kids. But Qing Yuqiao was different. He became famous in his teens and grew up under the protection of his management team and fans. More than a decade later, to put it nicely, he still retained a youthful aura. To put it bluntly, he was essentially still a man-child. His party life never stopped, changing female companions one after another, from minor celebrities to models, making it hard to guarantee that every one of them was kind-hearted. I first met Qing Kiki when I went to pick up Gu Xiaofeng. Qing Kiki and Gu Xiaofeng were on duty together, and I noticed scratches on this girl's arm, as if made by fingernails. I asked Qing Kiki who did it, and she said, Dad's girlfriend. When I later questioned Qing Yuqiao about it, he was completely clueless. He had dated too many girlfriends, to the point where he couldn't even tell them apart, let alone figure out who had harmed Qing Kiki. When I first started working at the Qing household, Qing Kiki hardly spoke to me. She didn't talk to anyone else either. Her only conversation partners were a litter of kittens in the backyard. She would squat there alone, chattering to them for a long time. She was wary of me, believing I was one of Dad's girlfriends. I didn't force her to talk to me either, letting her play freely in the yard. On the third day, it rained. I took 2 umbrellas out, holding one over her and another over the kitten's shelter. On the fourth day, I brought a bowl of dried fish, sharing it with the kittens and telling them they needed to eat well to grow up. Chunkiki squatted beside me, watching silently. On the fifth day, Chunkiki finished the lunch I had made. For the first time, her pale face showed a hint of color. After that, she no longer resisted me. This little girl has always been very well behaved. When I do housework, she quietly helps me, and before bed, she politely says, "Good night, Teacher Shen," but I know she has never truly grown close to me. The taxi sped along, and after getting out, I ran as fast as I could. A crowd had already gathered below the rooftop of the teaching building. The homeroom teacher approached, her voice choked with tears. "Coco's mom." I cut her off. "Have you called the police?" The homeroom teacher hesitated for a moment. "This is a prestigious school. If police cars come, the impact would be too. Call the police." My face was as cold as ice. The homeroom teacher was terrified. She picked up her phone to dial the emergency number. While I rushed upstairs, at the edge of the rooftop, a small figure sat there. People stood far away at the entrance of the rooftop, not daring to approach, because the small figure was too close to the edge. It seemed that even the slightest touch could make them fall. "Coco," I called out to her. "Teacher Shen is here." She turned her head to look at me, her stray hair tousled by the wind dancing across her face. It's rare to see such a sorrowful expression on a child's face. I cautiously walked toward her. "Coco, if there's anything on your mind, tell Teacher Shen, we can work through it together." Chunkiki shook her head, taking another half step toward the edge of the rooftop, then another half step. "Coco," my voice grew shrill, "it's all my fault." Chunkiki stopped in her tracks, turning her head to look at me with a hint of panic, shaking her head, meaning, "It's not my fault, not my fault." "Then why punish me?" My voice trembled. "If you die, the people who love you will suffer for a lifetime." "You want me to suffer for a lifetime, don't you?" Chunkiki panicked, shaking her head vigorously as tears fell. She finally spoke, her voice choked with emotion. "Lu Hao and Tang Tsong said, I'm a child that nobody wants." I see. This school was an elite primary school, where the parents of the students were either wealthy or influential, many of whom moved in the same social circles as Qing Yuqiao. Qing Yuqiao had weathered her own storms and didn't mind being criticized online, but many of the harsh words had been passed from parents to classmates, eventually landing on a 6 or 7-year-old girl. This was far beyond what she could bear. "Coco, don't lie to me." Coco took a step back, now only centimeters away from falling. "Don't lie and say you want me. You will get married. You will have your own children." Chunkiki said, "My dad paid you to take care of me, but one day you will leave." I stood there, my heart shaken. Chunkiki was the youngest of the 3 children, but in truth, she was the most mature. Because of her extreme reticence, I had never been able to detect this deep-seated pessimism within her. I took a step forward, and Chunkiki screamed, "Don't come any closer." "Yes, no one wants you," I said, staring into Chunkiki's eyes. The onlookers were all stunned. Chunkiki was also stunned. "So what?" I said. "No one wanted me either," I said. "I was abandoned at the orphanage doorstep right after I was born. But so what? I grew up well, growing stronger and stronger. People still bully me, but I have the ability to punish them now. I still don't have my own home or family, but I know one day I will." I've always been reluctant to talk about my personal experiences, as they're not exactly pleasant memories. Bringing them up always feels like tearing open old wounds, but right now, in front of Chunkiki, in front of all these onlookers, I don't mind taking a knife to reopen that wound, just to show them that it can heal. Chunkiki stared at me in a daze, while I kept speaking and moving step by step closer until I was right in front of her. "Kiki," I reached out my hand to her. "Everything will pass, we'll grow into fine adults." Her tears fell in large drops onto my hand. Chunkiki reached out and grasped my hand, but her foot slipped, and she began to fall. In that moment, I had 2 choices. The first option, let go of Chunkiki. I chose to tighten my grip on her hand. Together, we fell downward. At that moment, the sunset descended, its immense golden radiance sinking into the earth, and then, darkness completely engulfed me. I saw many memories from the past. Scenes flashed by like a revolving lantern, finally settling on the year I was 12. At that time, the Chinese teacher assigned a semi-open-ended essay with the title, "My dream is to become a underscore 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 underscore." Some wanted to be scientists. Others wanted to be big stars. I wrote, "My dream is to be a mom." The aunt who adopted me read the essay I wrote. "My dream is to be a mom to all the children who don't have one." The sentence was a bit awkward, but my aunt's eyes grew moist. I am a very fortunate child. My aunt adopted me and became my mother. I hope other children can be as lucky as I am, to have mothers of their own. My aunt said that my essay solidified the entrepreneurial plan she already had in mind. A few years later, Jinlan Academy was born, and I became one of its first graduates. Very well, I have achieved my dreams in this lifetime. The dark mist gradually dissipated. I lay on the hospital bed, with a blur of figures in uniforms moving before me. From their conversation, I roughly understood everything that had happened. Both Chinkiki and I landed safely, thanks to our homeroom teacher calling the police, who set up an air mattress below the teaching building. It was also fortunate that the teaching building was only 4 stories high, so Chinkiki and I landed safely on the air mattress. Chinkiki was fine, but I was so terrified that I fainted. I was speechless. It sounded a bit pathetic. A commotion erupted outside the door, and before the nurses could stop him, Qing Yuqiao burst into the room. Bei Ning. Qing Yuqiao's eyes were red-rimmed. I'm sorry, I only just realized how much you love me. You were even willing to risk your life to save my child. It wasn't working hours, and I didn't feel like putting on a professional front, so I coldly spat out a single word, get lost. Qing Yuqiao refused to leave, until a team of bodyguards rushed in and dragged him out. It is said that the team of bodyguards was hired by GCI and Guzay. After driving away my father, I had the medical staff bring Chinkiki in. Chinkiki had been waiting outside the door for a long time. She nestled into my arms, and I gently ruffled her hair. At night, when I was putting Chinkiki to sleep, she suddenly turned her little face to the side and whispered to me, Teacher Shin, tell me the truth, do you like Ji Yunhe and Gu Xiaofeng more? I knew why Chinkiki was asking this. Ji Yunhe and Gu Xiaofeng were both exceptionally gifted children. But Chinkiki was not. She wasn't bad, but she had no shining qualities either. Her grades were average, her personality was quiet, and she had no special talents. Her father was Qing Yuqiao, hailed as the rising star of the entertainment industry, and her mother was a top-tier actress of her time. As the child of such a golden couple, Chinkiki seemed so ordinary. She had a delicate little face, but it fell far short of her parents' stunning looks. Some harsh netizens said that two born superstars had produced a destined ordinary person. I really wanted to tell Chinkiki that everything wasn't as she thought, but I knew the futility of words, so I shook my head, then hugged her tightly. Research shows that monkeys who are regularly stroked grow up much healthier and stronger than those who eat the same food but receive no affection. A hug speaks louder than any words. Chinkiki probably sensed my answer, as she slept better that night than she usually did. On the third day, when Qing Yuqiao came to pick up Chinkiki, I demanded that he never bring any female companions home again. Qing Yuqiao looked quite pleased. You're finally making this kind of request. It shows you have me in your heart. His next words were swallowed back as I nearly grabbed the thermos to throw at him. I added coldly, and also, the children who bullied Chinkiki at school, I need you to step in and talk to their parents. The related matters were quickly dealt with, and the bullies were punished, but I still wasn't at ease, so on the way home from school, I secretly followed, afraid that there might still be bad kids bullying Chinkiki. As it turned out, Chinkiki wasn't walking alone, she had a little follower. The little follower was bouncing around, making a lot of noise. Chinkiki, don't ignore me, I told you, we have the same stepmother. That's right, the little follower was Gu Xiaofeng. You're my sister, and as your brother, I'll protect you. How about we walk home together after school from now on? Chinkiki was a bit timid, but she still nodded. Great, Gu Xiaofeng shouted ahead. Hey, I told you, I said she wouldn't refuse me. You're really childish. Not far ahead, Ji Yunhe, carrying her backpack, waited coldly for the two to catch up. I have no idea why I turned down the driver and decided to walk home with you two. Not far from her, the driver followed at a snail's pace in the car, silently ensuring the safety of the 3 children. Because we have the same stepmother, Gu Xiaofeng pulled Chinkiki along, quickly catching up to Ji Yunhe, and the 3 of them walked side by side. Teacher Shin isn't a stepmother, Chinkiki whispered. Only someone who marries your dad is called a stepmother. She doesn't like my dad. If only your dad could realize that too. Ji Yunhe shrugged. Sometimes adults are even dumber than kids. It doesn't matter. Gu Xiaofeng continued to bounce along. We're all lonely kids, so we should walk home together. As a math prodigy, Gu Xiaofeng's statement clearly didn't hold much logical weight, but surprisingly, neither Ji Yunhe nor Chinkiki refuted him. The glow of the setting sun shone down, stretching the shadows of the 3 children walking side by side very, very long. We are all lonely children, but from now on, we are no longer alone. Later, time flowed by like water. Ji Yunha blossomed into the most dazzling socialite, embarking on a piano tour and reserving a seat for me in the front row. The ticket that arrived in the mail read, "I know you don't want to sit next to my dad, so I didn't invite him to this show." Gu Xiaofeng won a silver medal at the International Olympiad and received a call from the admissions office of a top 2 university. When a reporter asked him how he overcame ADHD to become a top student, he casually remarked that behind every successful man stands a great woman. The great woman behind me is Shen Baineng, the current dean of Jinglan Academy. Yes, my aunt is getting older and has passed the baton to me thanks to that parent-child variety show. I was a regular on the hot search list for a long time. The male lead's fans and the curious netizens dug deep into my background, which was exactly what I wanted. The more they learn about me, the more they will inevitably come to know about Jinglan Academy. The industry promotion task that Auntie had been striving for but never managed to achieve was finally accomplished through me. Invitations came pouring in like snowflakes. I couldn't possibly serve so many children all at once, but that's alright. The 2nd and 3rd graduating classes of Jinglan Academy are already prepared for employment, and they will be even more outstanding than I am. Since taking over as dean, I have undertaken a great deal of work. For instance, designing the school emblem of Jinglan Academy, which is a dandelion. The dandelion is a flower that spreads love. As the wind carries its affection to many places, it is also a resilient flower, capable of growing freely wherever it lands. For example, optimizing training costs to lower the hourly wage of professional hostesses, making it more affordable for more families. And as the dean, among the first cohort of students I recruited was Chinkiki. The decision of a famous star's child to enroll undoubtedly set a strong example for the admissions efforts of Jinglan Academy. After delivering my speech at the new student orientation ceremony and returning to my office, my secretary informed me that 3 gentlemen had expressed interest in making donations. Along with the donations came 3 gifts. The small velvet box, I didn't need to open it to know what was inside. Over the past few years, GCI, Guze, and Qing Yuqiao had each achieved considerable success in their careers, yet none of them had remarried. But what did that have to do with me? I instructed my secretary to return the box exactly as it was, unopened. As for the donations, given that they were made in the name of the college, I gladly accepted them. I used the funds from these 3 financial powerhouses to establish the Jinglan Foundation, aimed at helping children from troubled families who are unable to afford the necessary expenses. As for the rumors about me and them, they are still frequently discussed, with no sign of the heat dying down. Some busybodies have asked me, "Ms. Shen, who is your true love?" I smiled and replied to him, "I always look forward to the future, because in that grand and beautiful future I will eventually meet him." After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.